The house felt too quiet the moment the door closed behind their parents. Emily stood still in the hallway with her phone in her hand, listening to the echo fade. Snow pressed against the windows outside, and the evening light was already slipping away. She did not know why her chest felt tight. Maybe it was the silence, or maybe it was the way this night already felt different. Her younger brother Jake rushed past her, excited and careless, calling out that his friend Ryan would be over soon. Emily barely answered. She walked into the kitchen and leaned against the counter. She had lived in this house for years, but tonight it felt unfamiliar, like something unseen was waiting. Emily was 24, home for the winter after a hard year in the city. Her job had ended suddenly, a quiet email on a loud morning, and she had not told many people how much it hurt. Coming back to her parents' house in a small town outside Denver felt like a step backward, but also like a place to breathe. Jake was 17, full of noise and movement. He filled the space easily. Ryan had been his best friend since middle school. Emily remembered Ryan as the shy boy who used to sit at their table during family barbecues, always polite, always quiet. She had not thought much about him in years. The doorbell rang sooner than expected. Jake opened it with a grin, letting in a rush of cold air, and Ryan, taller now, broader shoulders, hair dusted with snow, his smile appeared when he saw Emily, and for a brief second, time slowed. "Hey Emily," Ryan said, his voice deeper than she remembered. He sounded unsure, like he was not sure if he was allowed to be there in this moment. "Hi Ryan," she replied, surprised by how warm her voice sounded. She noticed how his eyes stayed on her a moment longer than needed before he looked away. Jake announced that he was going to the basement to set up a game. He shouted something about pizza later, then disappeared, leaving Emily and Ryan standing alone in the kitchen. The clock ticked loudly above the stove. "So," Ryan said, breaking the silence, "you are back for a while." "Yeah," Emily said, "not sure how long, just until I figure things out." Ryan nodded. He leaned against the counter across from her, hands in his pockets. "I heard about your job. I mean, Jake mentioned something. I am sorry." "Thank you," she said. She did not want to talk about it, but the kindness in his voice made her pause. It has been a strange year. They stood there, the quiet wrapping around them again. Emily noticed small things she had never paid attention to before. The way Ryan listened without interrupting, the way he seemed present, grounded, different from the men she had dated in the city who always felt like they were halfway gone. The power flickered suddenly, lights dimmed, then went out completely. Emily gasped softly. The house fell into darkness, only the pale blue glow from outside remained. "Great," Ryan said with a nervous laugh. "Looks like the storm is getting worse." Jake shouted from the basement, "Power is out, awesome." Emily reached for her phone flashlight, then stopped. She did not turn it on right away. The darkness felt heavy but also close, like it pulled people together. The backup generator did not start. The heating system went quiet. Emily wrapped her arms around herself. Ryan noticed immediately. "Are you cold?" he asked. "A little," she admitted. "I can grab some blankets," Ryan said, already moving toward the hallway closet. They ended up in the living room, a pile of blankets on the couch, candles lit on the coffee table, shadows danced on the walls. The house felt smaller now, warmer, more alive. Jake stayed downstairs, loud game sounds echoing faintly. Emily and Ryan sat on opposite ends of the couch at first, a careful distance, like an unspoken rule. They talked about small things, how Jake had changed, how the town felt quieter than before. Ryan talked about working at his uncle's garage. about not being sure what he wanted next. Emily listened. She found comfort in his honesty. There was no pretending, no pressure. At some point, the wind howled louder. Snow hit the windows hard. Emily flinched without thinking. Ryan shifted closer, not touching, but close enough that she felt his warmth. "You okay?" he asked softly. "Yeah," she said, then after a pause, "I just forgot how loud storms get here." He smiled gently. "I used to be scared of them when I was a kid." That made her laugh quietly. "Really?" "Yeah," he said, embarrassed. "I would hide in the bathroom." They shared a look, something simple but real. Emily felt something stir in her chest, a mix of comfort and awareness. She had not felt this kind of calm connection in a long time. The candles burned lower. The air felt thicker. Emily realized how alone they were in that moment. Not truly alone, but separate from everything else. She wondered if Ryan felt it too. She shifted on the couch, pulling the blanket tighter. Without asking, Ryan adjusted his side, letting the blanket cover both of them. Their shoulders brushed slightly, neither moved away. Emily's thoughts raced. She told herself it was nothing, just shared warmth, just a long day, but her heart did not agree. It beat faster, louder than the storm. Ryan cleared his throat. "Emily, can I ask you something?" She turned to him, his face lit by candlelight, serious now, of course. "Do you ever feel like you missed a turn somewhere? Like your life went one way, but maybe it was supposed to go another?" he asked. The question hit her harder than she expected. She took a breath. "Yeah," she said honestly, "lately, all the time." He nodded slowly. "I feel that too." They sat with that truth between them, not heavy, but shared. Emily felt closer to him now than she had to anyone in months. The generator hummed suddenly, lights flickered back on, the moment broke, the room brightened, the spell cracked just enough to make Emily aware of how close they were sitting. Jake yelled from downstairs that the power was back. Emily stood up quickly, smoothing her sweater, her face warm. She avoided Ryan's eyes for a second. "Guess that's good timing," Ryan said with a small smile. "Yeah," Emily replied, though part of her wished the lights had stayed off a little longer. As they cleaned up the candles, Emily felt a quiet realization settle in. Something had shifted tonight. Nothing dramatic, nothing spoken aloud, but something real, something that made her wonder what might come next. She glanced at Ryan as he helped fold the blankets. He met her eyes and held her gaze just a moment longer than before. And in that look, Emily knew this night was only the beginning, not the end. The next morning, Emily woke to the faint gray light slipping through the curtains, snow still thick outside. She could hear Jake moving around downstairs, the sound of video game music and footsteps echoing up. She sat on the edge of her bed for a moment, feeling the warmth of the blankets still around her shoulders. But the quiet after last night made her heart thrum with a strange mix of nervousness and anticipation. She wondered if Ryan had slept at all or gone home early. Either way, she felt a pull to see him again, to hear his voice. Downstairs, Jake was talking loudly into his headset, unaware of the stillness that had settled in the living room. Emily grabbed her sweater and headed down. She found Ryan sitting at the kitchen table, a mug of coffee in his hands. The way he looked at her when she entered made her stomach flutter. "Morning," he said simply, eyes lighting up slightly. The warm tone of his voice eased some of the tension she felt. "Morning," Emily replied, trying to sound casual, though her heart raced a little faster than usual. The kitchen smelled faintly of burnt toast. Jake had left some crumbs scattered on the counter. Ryan noticed and laughed softly. "I think someone had breakfast already," he said, a teasing edge in his voice. Emily smiled, shaking her head. "Jake will fix it," she said, though she knew he probably would not. He had a way of leaving little traces of himself all over the house. It made Emily think of how quickly time passed, how people moved on but left marks that stayed. Ryan sipped his coffee and looked out the window, snow still falling steadily. He seemed lost in thought for a moment, and Emily wondered what he was thinking. She wanted to ask, but something in the pause told her he would tell her if he wanted. She cleared her throat. "I was thinking," she said, "maybe we could take a walk later, before it gets too dark. The snow is really pretty right now." She tried to sound casual, though the suggestion carried a quiet hope. Ryan looked up at her, a faint smile forming. "That sounds nice," he said, and it was simple, but Emily felt a spark of excitement, the kind that came from not knowing exactly what would happen next. Jake ran into the kitchen, waving a controller. "Mom and Dad left a note," he said, and then grinned at Emily and Ryan. "I am going outside to shovel the driveway. Anyone want to come?" The offer was casual, but Emily noticed how Jake's energy made Ryan glance at her, as if he was weighing whether to join. "I'll stay in," Emily said, shaking her head. "I want to help with lunch later," she lied lightly, and Ryan nodded. The moment passed, but the connection between them lingered, a quiet thread tying them together in the same room. The morning passed with small moments, Emily chopping vegetables, Ryan at the table with his laptop, but occasionally looking up to smile or make a comment, the kind of easy companionship that felt rare. The way their conversations wandered from childhood memories to silly stories about Jake, to dreams about the future, Emily felt herself letting go of some of the weight she had carried from the city. The harshness of her last year softened by the presence of someone who understood without needing explanations. By afternoon, the snow had stopped, leaving a soft blanket over the streets and lawns. Emily bundled up in her coat, scarf, and gloves, and when she stepped outside, Ryan followed, a casual agreement forming without words. They walked along the sidewalk, snow crunching under their boots, the cold air crisp against their cheeks. It was quiet at first, just the sound of wind in the trees, snow drifting off branches, and their own breathing. Emily glanced at Ryan, noticing details she had never remembered before, the way his eyes caught the light, the small movements of his hands as he adjusted his scarf, the tilt of his head when he listened, the presence of someone she could rely on, not just someone to pass time with. They stopped at a small park near the edge of town, a place Emily remembered from childhood, the swings frozen in the snow, slides dusted with white, a nostalgic silence hung in the air. Ryan leaned against a tree, and for a moment they just watched the snow. The world slowed down, and Emily felt a sense of calm wash over her. "Do you ever think about leaving?" Emily asked suddenly, the words spilling out before she could stop them, like a confession she did not realize she needed to make. Ryan turned to her, eyes searching hers. "All the time," he said softly. "I feel like I am meant for something bigger, something different, but I don't know where to start." Emily nodded, understanding perfectly. She had felt the same, trapped by expectations, by routines, by the weight of things left unsaid. The conversation hung between them, intimate, unforced, and Emily realized she was smiling without thinking, the shared understanding pulling them closer even without touching. They continued walking, feet crunching in the snow, small laughter and conversation flowing easily. The world felt simpler, warmer. Even in the cold, Emily felt the stirrings of something she had not expected, a soft, steady hope that perhaps connections like this could exist, could grow, if given the chance. Ryan stopped near a small frozen pond, the ice glinting in the soft winter light, and for a moment, neither of them moved, just watching, sharing the silence. Emily felt a longing she could not name, the kind that made hearts beat faster even in the quiet. A longing for more than just friendship, though the fear of saying it made her chest tighten. Emily shifted slightly, pulling her coat tighter. Ryan noticed and moved closer, the space between them shrinking naturally, like magnets drawing together without force, the gesture innocent but charged with possibility. Emily caught her breath, aware of the warmth, the proximity, the unspoken tension between two people who had known each other in passing, but now knew each other more deeply than before. They started back toward the house, the sun dropping lower, painting the sky with orange and pink streaks, conversation light but meaningful, laughter and teasing flowing. Emily felt a sense of belonging she had missed, the rare kind that comes from finding someone who sees you, not just superficially, but truly. Back at the house, Jake was in the living room, sprawled on the couch with his video games paused, looking up as they entered. "Did you guys enjoy the snow?" he asked, oblivious to the quiet tension lingering behind them. Emily and Ryan exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. "Yeah," Emily said, smiling softly, "it was really nice." Ryan nodded, and for a moment, their hands brushed as they set down coats, fingers grazing lightly. Emily felt her heart leap, and Ryan did not pull away, a subtle acknowledgement, small but meaningful. That night, after dinner, the house quieter, Jake upstairs, Emily and Ryan found themselves in the living room again, candles flickering on the coffee table, the warmth and soft light making the space intimate, comfortable, a sanctuary from the outside world. Ryan picked up a photo from the shelf, an old picture of him and Jake with Emily in the background. He smiled, remembering. Emily laughed softly, remembering too, the past blending gently with the present, making the moment feel timeless. Emily looked at him, feeling a surge of courage. Maybe it was the quiet, maybe it was the snow outside, or maybe it was just the way he looked at her. She said quietly, "I am glad you are here, more than I thought I would be." Ryan's gaze softened. "I am glad too," he said, and his words carried more than friendship, more than casual conversation. It was a promise, a hope, an opening into something neither of them fully understood yet. The night wore on, the fire in the fireplace crackling. Emily felt her thoughts drift to the future, to possibilities, to risks worth taking. Ryan's presence beside her was grounding, reassuring, yet stirring, a quiet tension she did not need to name, a pull she did not resist. When Jake finally came downstairs to check on them, the atmosphere shifted back to casual, playful, but the moment between Emily and Ryan lingered beneath the surface, the quiet awareness that something had started, something unspoken but undeniable, something that could grow into more if they let it. As Jake left to return to his room, Emily turned to Ryan, and for a long moment, their eyes met, full of unspoken words, the promise of what could be, the uncertainty, the excitement, the connection, everything that made hearts race in a quiet, steady way. Emily realized then that her life had shifted without fanfare, without dramatic moments, just a subtle turn, a suggestion, a walk in the snow, a shared silence, but enough to change the course of the evening, the night, and perhaps the days to come. And as Ryan smiled gently at her, she felt that quiet, steady certainty that nothing would ever be quite the same again. The morning after the snowstorm, the house felt lighter, sun streaming through the frost-kissed windows. Emily stirred in bed, hearing Jake moving around downstairs, his energy boundless even after a long night of games. She lingered for a moment, listening to the quiet rhythm of home, but her thoughts kept drifting to Ryan, to the walk in the snow, to the warmth that lingered from last night. She felt an unfamiliar but welcome flutter in her chest, a mix of anticipation and something deeper. Emily got up, pulled on a sweater, and made her way to the kitchen. The smell of toast and coffee greeted her. Ryan was already there, sitting at the table with a mug in his hands, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. He looked up as she entered, a soft smile spreading across his face. "Morning," he said simply, and the sound made Emily's heart skip a beat. "Morning," she replied, smiling back. She poured herself some coffee, the warmth spreading through her hands, through her chest. The sense of calm that had been building over the past day now felt steady, comfortable, but also full of unspoken possibilities. Jake burst into the kitchen, excited as ever. "Breakfast is ready," he announced, leaving crumbs scattered on the counter. Emily laughed, moving to clean up. Ryan helped silently, their hands brushing occasionally, sending sparks that neither could ignore. It was subtle, but Emily felt it, and she knew he felt it too. After breakfast, Emily suggested they go outside again. The snow had begun to melt slightly, but the world was still soft and white. Ryan agreed eagerly, and they bundled up together, Jake deciding to stay inside this time, leaving them alone. The quiet intimacy of their companionship settling comfortably around them. Walking through the town, Emily felt her thoughts wander, thinking about how fast life moved, how she had come back home thinking she was taking a step backward, but now it felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. Ryan walked beside her, silent at first, then talking about small things, memories of school, dreams about the future, the kind of conversation that flowed easily, naturally. They reached a small bridge over a frozen creek, the snow melting in patches around the edges. Emily leaned on the railing, watching the water below, and Ryan leaned beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched slightly, a comfortable nearness. And Emily felt her chest tighten slightly at the awareness of him, the shared warmth and quiet presence making her heart flutter. Ryan spoke first, his voice soft, reflective. "You know, Emily, I never realized how much I missed this, being around people who just understand," he said, and Emily turned to him, her eyes meeting his. "I know," she replied, and she felt the truth of it in her voice, a connection forming that was stronger than words. They stayed there for a while, talking quietly, laughing at small memories of Jake, teasing each other gently. Emily felt herself relaxing, letting go of the anxiety and pain she had carried from the city. Ryan's presence was grounding, reassuring, but also stirring something in her she could not yet name. As they walked back toward the house, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in pinks and oranges. Emily felt a surge of courage. Maybe it was the quiet evening, maybe it was the way the day had unfolded, but she wanted to suggest something that could make the night even more memorable. Ryan noticed her hesitation. "Are you thinking about something?" he asked, his tone gentle, encouraging. Emily took a breath, then said quietly, "Do you want to help me build a fire in the fireplace tonight? I thought it would be nice to just sit, talk, maybe play a game, maybe watch a movie, something simple." Ryan's eyes lit up. "That sounds perfect," he said, and Emily felt her chest swell with a quiet happiness. The simple suggestion, nothing extravagant, had the power to create a moment they could share, a memory they could hold on to. Back at the house, they set up the fireplace together, Emily gathering logs, Ryan lighting it carefully, the warmth spreading quickly, filling the room, the flickering light casting gentle shadows around them. Emily noticed how Ryan's face glowed in the firelight, how his eyes reflected the flames, and her heart ached with a mix of admiration and affection. Jake was upstairs, leaving them alone. Emily and Ryan settled on the couch, blankets draped around their shoulders. the room quiet except for the crackling of the fire, and for a while, they just sat, sharing the silence, comfortable in each other's presence, the kind of silence that spoke louder than words. Eventually, Emily spoke. "I feel like tonight is different," she said softly, "like something has shifted between us," and Ryan turned to her, eyes searching hers. "I feel it too," he said, and the admission hung in the air, unspoken but understood, a subtle acknowledgement of the connection that had grown over the past days. They started talking about dreams and fears, about life plans, about the small things that shaped who they were. Emily felt a trust she had rarely felt with anyone, a bond that went beyond casual friendship. Ryan listened intently, offering insights, comfort, and gentle teasing, the kind that made her laugh, relax, and feel alive. Time slipped by unnoticed, the fire burning lower, the night outside dark and calm. Emily and Ryan grew closer, sitting side by side under the blankets, shoulders brushing, hands occasionally touching as they passed each other snacks or blankets, the tension between them gentle but undeniable. Emily realized how much she had missed this, the feeling of being truly seen, truly understood, and she knew Ryan felt it too, the way he glanced at her, the small smiles, the subtle gestures, all of it building a quiet intimacy that was powerful in its simplicity. They decided to watch a movie, the kind of classic film Emily loved, something comforting and familiar. They huddled together on the couch, sharing laughter and commentary, the warmth of the fire and blankets wrapping around them like a cocoon. Emily felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, aware of how close Ryan was, how much she wanted to linger in this moment. At some point, Ryan reached for a blanket, draping it over both of them without hesitation, and Emily felt the warmth spread through her chest, a quiet acknowledgement of their connection, the simple gesture speaking volumes. After the movie, the fire dying down, Emily leaned back, looking at Ryan. "I am glad you are here," she said quietly, more seriously than before, and Ryan's eyes softened. "I am glad too," he said, and the weight of those words, simple yet profound, made her heart ache with happiness and longing. They talked for hours, about hopes, regrets, and small joys, the kind of conversation that left you feeling lighter, more alive. Emily felt a quiet certainty growing inside her, that this connection, this understanding, was something rare and precious, something worth nurturing. As the night deepened, they finally grew silent, simply sitting together, watching the fire die, Emily resting her head lightly on Ryan's shoulder, and he did not move away, the moment intimate, comforting, but completely appropriate, filled with affection and a sense of belonging. The quiet comfort stretched between them, words unnecessary, each aware of the other's presence, the warmth, the closeness. Emily felt a soft excitement for what the future might hold, for the possibilities that had opened up, and Ryan seemed to feel the same. When Jake finally came downstairs to check on them, Emily and Ryan straightened quickly, laughing softly to cover the sudden awareness of their closeness. Jake grinned at them, oblivious. "You two are acting weird," he teased. Emily felt a blush rise to her cheeks, and Ryan chuckled. After Jake returned to his room, Emily and Ryan shared a look, a silent understanding passing between them. They had crossed a threshold, not in words, not in grand gestures, but in subtle moments, shared warmth, trust, and connection, and both felt the shift, the beginning of something more. Emily leaned back against the couch, feeling the last warmth from the fire, and realized that the past days, the storm, the walks, the quiet nights, had changed everything. Her heart was open again, her mind alive with possibilities, and she knew that Ryan was no longer just a friend, but someone who mattered in a deeper way. And as they sat there, Side by side under the fading glow of the fireplace, Emily felt the promise of tomorrow, the excitement of shared moments yet to come, and the quiet, steady certainty that this night, this connection, had the power to shape everything in ways she had never imagined.